Hello, welcome to my studio. So today I'm going to be talking about practicing painting and making lots of starts. And I'm going to be demonstrating by painting and also showing you paintings to kind of illustrate what that means, and also show you how you can do it in your own painting practice and just how it can also really help your learning and just really elevate your skills enormously, and why it's important to do. So to give a backstory, just to kind of understand more what this is and what it means, the first kind of education I had in painting, in art, was at the University of Washington in the art department. I was in the painting program there, and there we would spend at minimum a week on a painting, often more, let's say 2 weeks, sometimes even more, depending on the project, the class, all that. And so then the second school I went to after I graduated and finished there, the second art school I went to was very different. And in a way, there were very similar things, but it was also very different. So we would do at least 2 paintings a day. So we'd do one in the morning, and then break for lunch, and then we'd do a second one later part of the day. So the point of this wasn't to be hyper productive and create a lot and do a lot. It was to learn. That was the focus of it. It wasn't really, focus wasn't on making a painting, but it was purely to build your observational skills and to be to be able to think really well on your feet, and to not kind of labor too much on a painting unnecessarily. Now, the idea of making lots of starts originates from this guy named Charles Hawthorne, who his teaching was collected by his wife, actually, in notes left by students, and kind of put into this book. If you do not have this book, if you've not read it, I really recommend. It's not very expensive, and as you can see, you could probably get through pretty quickly. It's one of those kind of books that you can underline everything and just find that, it's all highlighted. So really, really recommend. So Charles Hawthorne, he opened a school, I think around 1899 in Provincetown, and called the Cape Cod School of Art, and really influenced a lot of painters kind of in that time at that school. And he really emphasized making lots of starts and not focusing on finishing a painting, not focusing on the end product, but really being completely immersed in the process of painting and really observing one color spot next to another color spot and really getting the values right. So really thinking about just these very core aspects of painting, really focusing on the language of painting, really what this is, the fundamentals. And when you do this, your painting will develop. Even if you don't kind of concern yourself at all with what it's going to look like, what you're painting, how to finish it, just concern yourself with every moment as it passes by, each moment, and the process of what you're doing and thinking about. And this is what making lots of starts allows you to do. It frees you up from finishing a painting, from making something look quote unquote complete, or finished, I should say, and kind of really allows you to build these absolutely important skills that, and paradoxically, it's these things that will help you to actually make more complete paintings. So when you do lots of these, you will be able to create much more amazing work in the end if you don't do this. So kind of visual examples of kind of what this looks like, making lots of starts. Here's one that I have to show you. Again, it's just a sketch. It's a start. It's but it has basic elements here of light, color, color temperature, all those things. This was painted when I went for vacation in England to the Lake District. As you can see, it has those kind of English colors about it, a little bit more cloudy weather going on here. But it's not quote unquote finished. Like there's canvas showing through all those things, but it has a completeness about it in the sense that it has a sense of light. It has these color spots working together. There is a visual idea that is complete, that's there. And I was really I was inspired by a view, and that's what I did, but I wasn't necessarily trying to make a finished complete landscape. I was working on just focusing on these more abstract elements of what I was seeing. So that's landscape example. And here's another one. Here, this was also done kind of a one session painting. This one, maybe looks a little bit more complete in the sense that there isn't canvas showing through. Yeah, so a start doesn't necessarily always have to be like, oh, there's canvas showing through, and it's not completely covered in paint. That doesn't have to always be the case. You can completely cover your painting and it still be kind of this start. It's more about, it's less about kind of just making, scribbles on your canvas and more about really studying what you're looking at and not focusing one iota at all about the finished product, the end product, and the object that you're painting. Really just being concerned with capturing the light and the colors and the color temperature and all of those things. So not to just be showing landscapes, I also want to show one more here, and that's a still life. And you can see it's just made up of, it's a start of a painting. It has kind of this, but it's also a complete idea. There's a sense of light there. There's color spots working together, color temperature working. All of those things are working in this painting. Sometimes it doesn't work, unfortunately, I scrape out my failures. They often get scraped out, and I scrape out a lot less than I used to because, that's a nice thing. As you paint more and do more, you end up scraping out less, which is thank goodness, I guess. but the work pays off. But yeah, so I unfortunately don't have failures to show you. I definitely would, but not, they're not always going to be great, and that's good because you learn from those. You learn from kind of these paintings that don't turn out so well. So I did, I'm going to do a painting demonstration showing you just every aspect of how you start a painting and how you kind of carry it through and just build on top of that start and kind of build these color spots and then kind of what it can look like kind of when you're done. And obviously this looks different for everyone, but what should be there is this base of you're focusing on value first and foremost, and then you're focusing on color and really thinking about one color spot next to another color spot and building your painting based on that. So kind of those just core building blocks. And what's great is that when you work on this and build on this, it will help you to be able to move further in your painting and eventually create more finished paintings. So this is an example of something that is multi-session painting. It's more than just a start. It's kind of been carried through further, and it's working on starts will help you to become more kind of, I don't want to say the word details, more specific, more precise in your painting, be able to create, and depending on what your goals are, maybe your goals are to make, very brushy, loose paintings. And in this case, this is Making Lots of Starts is where it's at. But it also is absolutely important to make lots of starts to be able to know how to move further in a painting and be able to do multi-session paintings. So if you want to work in that way, then this is also very, very relevant, super relevant for you as well. Now, one important thing I forgot to mention is that Charles Hawthorne, from whom this idea of making lots of starts originated from, though it didn't necessarily fully originate just from him. Artists, painters had been doing it for a long time prior to him. It's just that he taught it. But he was my teacher's teacher's teacher. So this has been passed down from generation to the next. And I can't impress upon you enough just how vital this practice is, and learning that these elements are. And so do follow along and incorporate this into your own painting practice. So I'm going to be doing a little still life and just going to be a small painting to really just show kind of the basic element of how to make a start. All right, here to start out with, I make just a quick sketch just to get an idea of the composition of what I'm doing. And again, even though this is kind of a start, a more of a sketch type of a painting, you still want to kind of mark down just the basic architecture of what you're going to be working on. And then I make my first spot of color, how I put it. Mix up whatever area in my subject matter that I want to start out with. I typically like to choose an area where there's 3 clear value areas, so where you can clearly see a light value, a medium value, and a dark value. So here you can see I placed a slightly lighter value right next to that medium value area. So I have 2 spots of color at the moment, 2 distinct values. Then I have a light value that I just placed down, that lighter blue. And so right from the beginning, you kind of start out having a sense of light. Then just continue to build on top of that by, again, thinking first and foremost in terms of value, and then color, and really building one spot on the other. And not thinking about the object, what I'm painting, but more about just all the colors and values that make up my subject matter. And working on a painting in this manner really helps you with releasing yourself from the pressures of making something perfect or making something really, really good, and allows you to really focus on the things that actually matter in a painting, and allows you to not worry if a painting turns out or not, and really just focus on value and color and really working on that. And what's funny is that when you do that, the painting will really turn out and look good. So doing this is just such a great practice for kind of loosening up your skills and your hand just as you work. All right, so here on the top part of this little blue vase that I'm painting, you can see it already has a sense of dimension, and you can kind of feel where an area is coming forward and where an area is receding, and that's just from placing spots of color and value next to one another. It's just such a small area in the painting, but you can see this is the power of really just observing and looking at spots of color and really thinking about value in a very kind of visual way. You're not trying to superimpose something on top of it. You're just painting it as it is and as you see it. Here we're jumping ahead just a little bit here. You can see as this painting is developing, the background is being painted at the same time as the actual subject matter, and that's because the background and the foreground and subject, they're all interconnected and interrelated, and that's because colors affect and influence one another. Everything in just whatever you're painting, light is bouncing off of each other, different colors are bouncing off of each other. There's an interconnectedness to everything that you see, and that's important to take that into account as you're painting. And you want to paint the background and the subject matter and just all the other elements together because they belong together, and you want them to speak to each other, to be related to one another. So that's the big reason behind that. But as you can see here, kind of as this painting develops, the emphasis here is on value and making sure the values are working well and are kind of, again, interconnected with the rest of the painting. And as I paint spots of color, I do look for the largest areas where I can find the purest color. So of course, our eyes, we see too much, and we see just all these details going on, all these kind of little minute, subtle kind of transitions that happen, but we really want to not kind of fall into that trap of trying to paint all these tiny details that we see. I mean, it's great that we can notice those things and see that, but when it comes to painting, you really want to simplify a lot, and that's very, very important, especially kind of in kind of the beginning stage of a painting. That's something that's very important to be able to master, and that's what you want to do in these sketches kind of as you're thinking on your feet and working quickly, and this is an important thing to exercise just in your skill kind of tool set, so to speak. So as we're going through this, as I'm painting this, I'm really thinking about large areas of color. What spots can I kind of simplify and put together in kind of a largest area of color that would make sense? And then how do I divide things up? And the same with value, like how do I, what values can I group together? But maybe they're slightly different colors, but they're in the same value group. So those are things that are kind of going through my mind as I'm painting this, and I really encourage you to think that way, because those are things that will help you immensely kind of as you do these sketches, these starts. It'll help you develop yourself and your eye, and you'll be able to carry that over to just your regular paintings. Now, as I finish up here, one of the absolute best things with doing this practice, with making these starts, is that it allows me to just go all out without any kind of fear of ruining my painting or anything, because it's meant to be an unfinished painting. And I really, really encourage you to do this, because you learn so much from doing these kind of things. Now, I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. Again, this is the completed painting here. And I did paint it from real life, so I was observing. Actually, I have the object here that I was looking at, and I literally just set it on my table and looked at it and painted from that. And doing, again, such a tiny little thing, and you don't have to paint from little things, you can do big things too. Whatever you want, portrait, landscape, still life, whatever you're most interested in, paint from that, study it. Do painting studies. It could be as short as 30 minutes, literally just putting 3 colors together and figuring out what 3 color spots go together is incredible. Like, that's such great training for your eye to do. And I know some of us have more time than others to be able to spend, but doing something like this every day will pay off a lot just over the course of time as you build onto that. I showed you a completed painting earlier. This is a print, because the original is in a private collection I don't have anymore, but I do have a print of it, of a painting that I did. As you can see, it's much more developed, something that was many sessions that it took. But I would not have been able to know how to develop a painting to this extent had I not done lots of starts and really worked on building those skills and that knowledge of how to work with color spots and how to put things together, how just to work out value and all those things. So this is so, so important. And again, no matter how far along you are in your learning journey, I'm still doing starts. I'm still incorporating that into my practice to keep a freshness in my painting and just in my skills. So it never goes away, the learning process. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think of making starts. I also have links below, materials used. You can check that in the comment section, or in the comment, or the box, whatever is below, whatever it's called. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.